Dr. Narda here, back with another video, and in this video we are going to talk about taking notes and how to avoid plagiarism. So let's get started. Now there are a couple of guidelines that you can consider. Now these are all just guidelines, these are not hard and fast rules. These are just suggestions for, better note-taking and better organization overall. One of the things that you might want to consider is grouping related articles together. And you could do that. You could base it on the topic, right? Because that will make note-taking easy. You can also group your articles in terms of methodology. Maybe you have a bunch of survey designs, you can group those together, and maybe you have a bunch of experiments. You can break up the grouping of your articles in terms of participants. Maybe you have adults in some studies and you have adolescents in another. You can also break up your groups of articles into theories. Maybe you have, one set of articles that's based on theory A, and then maybe you have another set of articles based on theory B, and so on. Now, you can even break down these categories or these groups into even more detail. So maybe you want to, and this is a choice, to take those subgroups and break them down chronologically, or how the topic has changed over time. So you obviously usually would start with the older source and then move forward from the older source and discuss how that change has happened over the years. You can also, and this is up to you, but maybe you want to use digital. If you're using digital, most people use digital these days, but you can highlight with a digital highlighter, and you could use different colors for different types of elements. So this will kind of make it easier for you to locate and retrieve specific information. Like for example, yellow highlighter might be used for statistics. And maybe that helps establish the importance of the problem, so you want to highlight that. And green might be used for definitions of key terms. And then, you might use pink for major findings and so on and so forth. Again, this is up to you, but these are all just suggestions. The other thing that I do suggest is that you give each author, or I should say each source, a unique identifier, such as the surname of the first author. You could also make identifiers just numbers as 1, 2, and 3. And really make sure you give these unique identifiers so it makes note-taking much more efficient and effective. And you can actually kind of refer back to those identifiers as you go through the process. You can also create note cards, and you could put on top of the note cards unique identifiers. You can also make a bibliography or of sorts as well if you want, or annotated bibliography as we call it. But basically, if you kind of give the unique identifiers, if something's not complete or you're missing stuff, you can actually go back and add additional information in there. That's just a way of organizing. You could also, and this is kind of what I was talking about in annotated bibliography, this is a little different, but you can maybe make a table that summarizes each key point in the literature that you're reading. You could build the table with these unique identifiers, such as the author's names, and you could, break it up by column. Maybe you have the level of, measurement they're using. Maybe another column, maybe number of participants. You could look at the outcome, like was it favorable or not favorable. Again, these are all just suggestions and ways to organize in preparation for actually writing your lit review. I would also suggest that if there's something really important, that you make more extensive notes, right, on the more important studies. So focus on those important studies and go into more detail. And you don't have to go into such detail as the less important studies. So the studies that really set up your research, really set up your study that you're conducting, you want to be very thorough with those. I will also tell everybody, and I tell my students in class, I tell my students online, and I I tell anybody, not people on the street, because they probably won't listen to me, but I tell them avoid including quotations. Do not use quotes, right? Your goal is to synthesize the literature on the topic in your own words. So I would not quote if can be avoided. Now, there might be a technical definition that you cannot change because you'll lose the meaning, but do not quote in your literature reviews. Always paraphrase or put things in your own words. The other thing I'll tell you to do is pay attention to definitions while you're taking your notes. Now, you should note if different authors use different definitions for various concepts or variables that are related to your topic. And you might need to take these definitions into account when you're writing your literature review. And you want to think about if, the studies, whether they use one type of definition, maybe they have some type of results compared to the other studies who use a different type of definition. So you want to consider that as you're writing. Another important element that students sometimes forget to do is to take notes on the limitations of the research methodology. So kind of look through the study, look through the articles, and look in the discussion section at the end of the article and note those limitations. Consider the limitations they made when they were drawing their conclusions, and also maybe look at some limitations they didn't cite or didn't note down. Speaking of citing, when in doubt, always cite your sources. I personally would rather see more citations than less, because failure to cite your source for an original idea does constitute plagiarism, even if that idea is logical and makes common sense. So even the quote-unquote obvious ideas belong to the individual who first uttered the idea or wrote the idea out. So when in doubt, always cite. Now, always go to the original or original source. So if you're reading an article and someone's rephrasing another source, you always have to go back to the original source and put it in your own words. You should always cite the original source, not a secondary or third secondary source. Last thing I want to leave you with in this video is failure to clearly indicate the beginning and end of summarized literature may lead to charges of plagiarism. So it's common in literature reviews to summarize another writer's ideas in more than one paragraph. When doing this, though, make sure you clearly identify the common source for each material in each paragraph. Always make sure that you're very clear when citing. Always be very, very clear and keep accurate notes on all sources and ideas, and clearly indicate the sources in your literature review, and you will be fine and you'll avoid any charges of plagiarism. But with that said, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you have ideas for other videos or that you want me to cover, please leave those down below. And I'll see you all next time. Take care. Bye for now.